thank you so much for accepting to have to be here in Artist Talks.
No, it's good to see you. I'm still a little sad that I couldn't stay in
for the opening
the whole time for teaching and everything. Yeah. So, it was so fun to see Medellin. And to see and I think, the more I thought about it, the more I think that I was kind of doomed from the beginning as a small child, that this is just what I was going to do, So my mom used to say that if she gave me these, there were these like wooden beads that were kind of thick and chunky. And if she gave me these beads and like a small rope, that I would just sit in the corner for hours and like change the order of them and think about the patterning. And I had one, color forms. I have one image, but it's not very exciting, but
but it's nice. I mean, for many of us, like art always comes from childhood, and it's something that, like, we already knew that we were going to be artists.
That's my image.
Wow. So now let's talk about this image.
Okay, well, this is just, I was reminiscing about when I was a kid, and there are these things called color forms, and I don't know if they had them in Colombia as well, but you would just get like a little box of sort of like reusable stickers, and you could stick them onto this piece of plastic and then move them around, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever at the time. And then the funny thing is, when you see some of the new work that I'm doing kind of relates to the color forms. You made me think that my whole world is going full circle.
So did you choose art after in your life? I mean, this is like your first attempt or your first approach to artistic notion or composition of the image and things like that. But then you choose art because of what was your reason?
I think I was thinking about how there's like an internal side to that and an external side to that, right? So honestly, I was pretty shy when I was a kid, and I really wanted to like communicate visually. I was very interested in trying to like take the things that I saw and make them visible and to other people. And to do that not through like the written word, but to do that through like visual imagery. And then I think the more that I saw, I grew up in a very busy place, and the more I saw how busy everyone was and how they weren't really sort of necessarily paying attention to or attuned to their surroundings or the environment or how we're relating with the environment, then there became this external desire to use that goal to, that way of communicating to try to help people sort of like think bigger and broader about how we are relating with the world around us.
At some point I think artists, we are definitely first citizens. We are people that have, and in order to build communities around us, we have to propose something through our art pieces and our artworks and images, and we have this responsibility of communicating something, definitely. At the beginning you were saying like it's kind of art, choosing to work in arts is not normal decision for many people, and then we were saying that it's not practical, that maybe it's not the most practical decision. But then it's very symptomatic what you were saying about Oakland, that is getting so expensive that people can't even get the privilege to study art.
So I have a couple of photos that I took early on when I was about 18 years old, probably 18, 19. And it was kind of fun to go. I just went back through them yesterday a little bit. But at this point, honestly, I'd already taken, I got to go to a high school that had a little dark room, and I kind of fell in love with being able to work through photography and develop your own film and, make your own print. And so then when I went to college, I took a photo class, and then basically the school I went to, for college had a competitive photography program. So you had to apply in order, like you applied to get into the school, but then you separately applied to get into the photography program. And then the person in charge of the program had a technique where every semester you had to like reapply to stay in the program. So basically, if you started like, slacking, he had a way at the end of every semester to just like show you the door. And so I ended up kind of sticking around. And I think honestly that line was helpful for me, because it was like, all right, I'm in this program. Other people wish they were in this program. I better hold up my end of the deal.
How many people was able to?
12.
Oh my goodness. You said it's with medium format, right? You were saying that.
This is large format, so this is 4x5. And so multiple exposures now. So this is me like climbing inside of an apple tree at night, with a friend, like bouncing a flash off at different times during the multiple exposures. And then I think.
And it was already in college, or is it high school?
This is college. This is college. Yeah, I can't find much of my high school stuff, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure you'd want to see it either. I think this is better work. And so then there was a town near me in New York where I went to photograph a couple times with a friend. And now that I look back, like some of that work, I don't usually photograph as like a documentary photographer, but I really like some of this work that there's just these kids in this town that it was like a town where a lot of the kids weren't in school. And so they were just kind of running around like this pack of wild children all day. And they were super excited to have their photo taken at the time. And so it was really fun and easy to work with these kids because they were like, yeah, let's do it, and I think I ended up getting some sort of strange, bizarre moments out of the situation. And usually I'm kind of shy about photographing people, but this is a party at the college I went to. Okay, do you see? Yeah, I'll just maybe I have to do it this way. Can you see that image? We've talked about that, right? So now do you see another image? Okay, so this was what I meant.
Now I see the tree, right? Yeah.
This is the tree, multiple exposures, and then this is the next image, which was of this girl, this town where I used to take some photos, her dog. And then then there are these parties at the school I went to, and I think maybe clearly I never really felt like I was part of the party, right? So it was really convenient to have a camera, because then I could take everyone. I could observe, which was really fun, as opposed to trying to like be a partier, which never felt right to me.
Oh wow!
So there's another party shot.
They were having fun.
Yeah. And then I have these two images not taken by me. I just thought I'd throw in two of my favorite images by other photographers. To kind of, because you were asking sort of like, how did this all start? And somehow that made me think about these two images. And
why is this one?
This is Eggleston, William Eggleston took this photograph. And I just loved that he at the time shot this photo on the plane, and then like the beautiful quality of the light in the beverage, and then the sky out the window, and just this feeling of like transportation, but also like this kind of interior like beauty, right? That sort of again, that relationship between interior and exterior. Like I think when it can come out in a photo, it's something.
There's always this special light in when you are in a plane. It's always this when you are above the normal horizon. So then, of course, the light is very special. It's very different.
Yeah.
And that's is a cocktail or is it whiskey or something?
I think it's whiskey. Maybe it's a Kulika. I'm not sure.
Nice image. Yeah.
And then this other photo Robert Frank took of his family, and I just always like this photo. That's his wife and then his son, and you know, I think his son ended up passing away.
Very beautiful image.
Yeah, isn't it? It's very sentimental, I think, but also like just a beautiful photo. Yeah, I am working on a different project, and I'm in the middle of it, so it's not like clean and totally figured out. It's more. I'm going to show you the the mush, the in between moments. I went. I've been really enjoying working in color dark rooms, like traditional color dark rooms, and at the moment with COVID, the best dark room I could find that I could access was in New York because I had a place to stay, and it just sort of worked out. So I did a new set of sea prints, like chromogenic prints, in the dark room, and so I'm putting motor oil, used motor oil, onto the piece of glass, and then the piece of glass, the light shines through the glass. But now at this point, I'm also adding imagery. So this is imagery of an illustration of the magnetic fields that that they're talking about. The scientists are talking about how the magnetic field might be shifting, and it might be basically there could be a relationship between the environment and like the environment shifting and the magnetic field shifting. And so this is another from that new series, and yeah, I think they've really become like abstractions or layers. This one, I made these little printouts, because there's the Hubble is in NASA has a camera, that's taking these amazing photos of different galaxies. And so I actually I was working with those imagery, but when I put them onto the oil, they started to sort of break apart. And so this is basically seeing, a little bit, a lot of these show you that the fact that the image kind of breaks apart when it hits.
And how do you take those, how do you use those images that are already done? Do you print them on transparent materials? And
I printed them onto a transparency, and then I cut them up, and then I put them onto the oil. In a
very good quality, and it's incredible.
It's fun. It is really fun.
Yeah.
So this is the third of the abstract images more abstract images that I made when I was there. And it's actually the square pieces are actually broken pieces of glass. I feel like we talked about this when I was in Colombia, but here often you can, people will break your car window in order to take stuff inside of your car. And when they do that, the way the window breaks is sort of all these little squares because it's been treated, it's pressure treated. And so I just picked up some of those squares, those pieces of glass, and then worked with oil. So the blue area is oil, and then the mer-toned area is the glass.
It's so nice because it looks like a microscopic image of sugar crystals or something like that, salt. How did you get that color? It's like almost blood color. It's red. How did you get that?
If you've printed color, you have you have 3 adjustments. You have a cyan, magenta, and yellow, and basically, because basically I end out just sort of playing around until I'm getting, tones that I like, but also tones that are separate from one another. So if you turn any of those dials a lot, then just everything will look magenta or everything will look cyan, right? So I'm looking for some balance between some sort of separation. And then I kind of transitioned and made this slightly different set of work when I was there. So this is much more like multiple exposures and forms and shapes. So I'm still working with the oil as the back image, as the image that's in the negative carrier. But I ended up cutting out all these different shapes and And
so you cut all those papers. You cut it.
I cut different shapes to work as like up to block the light, and then do multiple exposures in a dark room. And I felt it was a really fun way to work, partially because I would try to, I'd have a plan, I'd have an idea of like, I want this to, I think I want to have a circle in the left, and I want to have, this one shape on the right. But then honestly, you're working in complete pitch black darkness. And so like what you think you want to have happen and then what actually happens is always, for me, I always kind of want to have room for almost like a collaboration between the material and myself and what happens, right? And so I always feel like I'm a little bit trying to
and that's it's pretty much about the techniques of photography, because it's somehow it is related with the magic notion of chemistry. It is capturing and fixing an images and that appears from nothing. It's like creation. It's magic. It's
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to write all that down. This work is brand new. You're one of the first people to see it. So I flew back and then flew back, I guess 2 months ago, but I've honestly had to pick up I started doing my other job and kind of photographed all the work, but then I haven't shown it to very many people yet. Oh, so this is the last image I brought. This is just, I'm trying to play with the fact that the idea that these interconnections can be found not only, basically I'm trying to work digitally and trying to get the similar conversations in their own way to be happening digitally. And I don't want to be copying analog work, right? So kind of playing around with like, how can I embrace digital and not be so dependent on a dark room that's on the other side of the country? Yeah. And how can I still like, use my love of photography to talk about all these things that are going on around us and not just, So this is one of the images I've been playing around more, but this is one of the images that I feel kind of is like more interesting to me.
So you were drawing on top of this with Photoshop then?
Yeah, very much. And I thought about like trying to hide the fact that it was so much Photoshop, and then I was like, no, I think this is kind of getting to be about technology and about like how technology is changing how we see the world so much.
How the materials have changed a lot of what an artist were using. A painter, they use oil painting and brushes and canvas and stuff like that. But then with all these questions about representation, then came this notion that art is made with the materials that is made the rest of the world. Technology and computers and code, even written code is part of the materials that the world is made of.
Definitely. And I think that it's such a gigantic part of the change that we're undergoing.
So thank you so much, Johnna.
Yeah.
It was wonderful to have you here in Artist Talks of Colombo Americano. It was very nice to see you again.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Alejandro. I'd love to see you in person someday. If you ever come out, let me know.
Yeah, it would be nice.
And be well, be safe out there.
Yeah, sure.